So why you have Gray in the side? Was
What do you
was it
mean?
Gray? You
Oh,
sure?
I mean, no, the Curry, I'm a B team. I have a B team. Don't worry about that.
No, but why Gray in the side right now? Like,
No,
you
I
know?
brought him in this weekend because I feel
Yeah,
he would
yeah.
do something against Brighton. Brighton sus right now.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Pavilion for another episode of the Pick review of an exciting game week 3. Well, depending on the team that you're back, there were a lot of highs and a lot of lows in 20th place. But with me to go through the points and to go through the fixtures is my main mate from down under, Johnny Wilson. Welcome back, bro.
How's it going, Jared? Good to see you again, mate.
Yeah, man, thanks for coming on. How you doing, bro? It's Friday across there, right?
It is. It's Friday at the moment, getting ready for the weekend. Just end of the working week, so pretty happy. Not that happy about international break, though, unfortunately. I wish there was some Premier League on this weekend, but that's okay.
I mean, before we continue, I was having a chat about that. I think they robbed us a bit, man. They could have given us 5 games at least, and then...
I know. It's one of those things, isn't it? They dangle it in front of you and then take it away. It's not fair, is it, Jared?
All right, so the format for this show, guys? We're going to run through the fixtures. We're going to shamelessly show you our teams and our points, how we did. And we have a new league leader in my league. So we're going to give him a little shout out, like show his team up and whatnot. So let's start with the fixtures and the results. So first up, so Johnny, your one and only task for this whole show is to please run through this fixture. I don't have the heart. I can't do it. Please explain. Please break down just now. Hold on. Let me just get the breakdown for you there. But please, I
Look,
don't have
Jared,
the heart. I don't have the strength.
I know it's a sore spot for you, mate. And look, I said to many of my friends, I actually coach a local soccer team, football, of course, team here in South Australia in Adelaide. And we do have a fair few Arsenal fans in the team. And I tell you what, they weren't wearing their Arsenal strips this week at training. I don't think they're going to be whipping them out for a long time to come. What is going on with the Gunners? How are they getting worse, Jared?
I don't know. It's just we're not getting any goals. Where are the goals coming from, Johnny? That's the problem. And as you can see,
you've got players like Aubameyang, Lacazette who know they can score goals, but I think the supply is where your biggest issue lies, mate.
Right, the creativity.
You can't get these guys into good positions if you're not supplying them with the ball. I saw Aubameyang play for a good, 60 minutes before he got dragged, and I don't think he saw any of it. And to be fair, Man City, they're always going to be a hard opponent, especially at home.
Right.
But, that there was no supply for the poor bloke. It's hard to see a player like that who, prolific goal scorer, with a lack of supply, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly. Not even any scraps to feed on. Well, let's run through who scored the goals. Well, there's only one. As you can see, it's blank on one side and full on the other. So, so let's first. I want to start off with the consistent guys. So far since game week 2, because that's when City really got their winning form on. We had Mahrez and Grealish amongst the consistents, and Mr. Jesus as well. So Jesus scored an assist again. Mahrez came in with an assist, and Grealish with another assist. So do you think, for those who don't have those guys in the team here, Johnny, you think they're guys to consider or just a flash in the pan, nothing to get excited about as yet?
Look, I think we spoke about this when we reviewed my team before the season started, Jared, and I think I pointed out that it's really important to have big scoring, point scoring midfielders. They're even just an assist for a midfielder gets you big points, especially goals. Goal scoring midfielders are so important in any fantasy setup. Obviously, Grealish has hit the ground running, which is great. I've got him in my side, and I think it was handy when you buy a player from another team who has already been playing in the Premier League. They're used to the league, so all they have to adapt to then is the team. And I think Jack Grealish coming off a great Euro, he was always up to that level. I felt that he was a bit above Aston Villa, so he was always going to hit the ground running at Man City. Very handy player to have. I think Jesus as well up front. With Noah Guerrero this year, Man City need to find that out-and-out striker, that guy that they can rely on up top. They've always famously, Pep's played without a striker for a lot of the time. I don't think it's worked. They've always just failed at that final hurdle in the Champions League, and I know that's what they desperately want. And I think we saw in the final last year against Chelsea, they went without the striker and it didn't go in their favour. And I feel like if they try and do that again this year, that the same sort of thing will happen. So I like that Jesus is getting up and about up front for them. I like that Fran Torres as well. He looks pretty handy too. So, look, they are sort of looking for that out-and-out striker to step up. And I think if you're looking to put a forward player in there for your fantasy league, if your forwards aren't firing at the moment, hey, Jesus is not a bad one to have.
Yeah. And well, these days, so Jesus on the wing because he dropped Mahrez. Gosh. This guy, Pep really
you have Mahrez in your Jared.
Sorry?
Did you have Mahrez in your team?
Yes, of course. I stupidly had Mahrez, but he came in clutch again. Because last week, Pep did the same thing, didn't start him, but thankfully, Mahrez is strong-willed and determined to get my points for me.
I think it's hard with Man City when you're picking Man City players. They're going to they sort of always have big score lines against teams they should probably belt. And I know that it's still a bit of a sore spot for you, but they should be beating Arsenal pretty comfortably.
Correct.
The teams that they should be beating comfortably, they usually do, and big score lines follow. Now, the only problem with picking Man City players is they have 2 starting 11s, really, don't they? They have that much money and that many players that you might pick a guy who, you think, oh, brilliant, this guy's going to kill it. If he starts for me, he's definitely going to get points this week. The problem is you just don't know who's going to start for City every week because they could literally start 2 separate teams in 2 different games. And I think that is a risk when picking City players. I think a lot of people have identified that this season, and that's why we're not seeing as many City players getting picked for Fantasy Premier League because they do have 2 starting 11s. So you really don't know who's going to start on the day, and it's really up to Pep. And, God, I mean, it's pretty hard to know what he's thinking sometimes, Jared.
Yeah, exactly. But I may drop Mahrez this week. That's for sure. Just wanna run through who. So we highlighted the main guys. So just wanna point out Bernardo was among the assists. We had our Torres scored and assisted, and we have Gundogan. Now, I don't know what it is, but Pep, I want to take a risk and say Pep loves Gundogan, even though he's injured and carrying a knock. So maybe besides the usual Edison and Diaz, Gundogan might be a decent pick. And he's amongst the goals. He's doing his thing. So might be a decent pick.
I think Gundogan's not a bad pick when they're still, as I said, trying to find that out-and-out striker. He won't be that out-and-out striker, but while they're still trying to find that, he's finding the goals. And he has hit the ground running this season as well. Another player he surprised me this year, to be honest. Yeah. I thought when they picked him up, he took a while to get going. He was in and out of the team. He's had inconsistent play throughout his time at Man City, and it just seems to be that he's stringing enough games together at the start of this season where he might have an absolute blinder. So definitely worth looking at.
For sure. Just want to point out to you guys the only bright spark for Arsenal here and for any fantasy managers, right? When you're picking keepers, you want to pick let's see Leno's price real quick here, right? Okay, so Leno's 4.9, great price. So whenever below 5 goalkeeper, you want to, these guys normally bring up the saves, right? So you got 5 saves for the game, so that's 1 point extra there. Not too bad in a dismal game. At least he gets a point extra for you guys, right? So always look out for that, right? We'll be pointing that out throughout the show. So next game we have Aston Villa versus Brentford. Johnny, you don't know how relieved I was to see Tony score that goal. Tony finally scored. Let's break down this one here, Johnny.
Yeah, look, Aston Villa, it was always a question how they were going to do after losing Jack Grealish. Of course, that was always the thing that people are going to look at when we're looking at Aston Villa this season. How they're going to fill that Jack Grealish-sized hole that is in their side. And look, 1-1 against Brentford. Brentford have started the season well too, haven't they? there's always one team that comes up from the championship who has a decent crack at the title, and they really just throw caution to the wind. And I feel that Brentford are doing that this year. They've come up and said, you know what? We're not going to die wondering. We're going to go for it. We're going to go out. We're going to play attacking football, and we're going to see if we can snatch a couple of points here and there from teams we maybe shouldn't. Look, Danny Ings, great signing for Villa, and he's getting, if he's not scoring, he's assisting, which is great. He's a great player to have in your fantasy side. Always has been. He's a very consistent guy. One of the things that frustrates me the most is that he couldn't make it. He couldn't quite string it together at Liverpool. I really wish he had. Being a Liverpool supporter myself, I really love Danny Ings, and he just couldn't make it work for him at Liverpool. But ever since, man, he has been a fantastic player to have in your fantasy side. Look, 1-1. Is it a fair result? Probably. Looking back at the game, second half got a little scrappy, but it was all in all probably a fair result. And look, Brentford are a side that you can pick up some pretty cheap players to fill out your squad. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there. I know we're not going to get to it just yet, but there's a very expensive player that has just entered the league that I think a few people are going to want to pick up. So Brentford might be a team to look at if you're looking for a couple of bargain players who are still going to get you some points.
Correct, is right. And again, I want to highlight this guy right here, Raya, 4 saves. So that's at 1 point. As I told you guys, 3 saves equals 1 point. So it's an extra point there, right? So these guys will do that. And Raya has been very consistent, right? Raya has been really
absolutely
good. Yeah, so your scorers were Brendy, Tony, and your sisters were Ings and Jansen, right? So I'm not going to go back again. Johnny covered it really well. So, and as you rightfully said, there's a particular guy, a particular character that entered the EPL, right? And if you want to bring him into your team, you want to get some cheap assets so you can rack up the money. When you
absolutely. We're all about those cheap buys that can get you some points.
So next up, 2-0, we have Everton and Brighton. So this game, I'm very proud of this game because Johnny had a really clutch last minute purchase in Gray. Really last minute. I'm talking about maybe 2 hours before the window closes. I was like, you know what? I'm feeling Gray. My gut was bothering me whole night. Couldn't sleep, Johnny. I was like, all right, let's bring in Gray. And Gray brought in the points, 8 points with his lovely self. Calvert-Lewin almost didn't get the penalty because of a little scrap. I don't know if you saw that Johnny.
I was going to bring that up, in fact. It was quite interesting to see that. And I'm really interested to see how this affects them going forward. So Richarlison has been always quite an important player for Everton since he's rocked up, but he's always had an attitude problem. I've noticed this, and this is not me putting on my Liverpool hat now. I'm putting on my neutrals hat. Richarlison has always had an attitude problem. And seeing him fight with Calvert-Lewin for that penalty is just rubbed me the wrong way, man. That's not a good look for the team chemistry. So, look, I know it was the second goal of the game. It was interesting to see they didn't score after that. I don't know if that sort of threw the team off a little bit. They didn't concede, to be fair. But watch that space. Richarlison's not shy of getting a red card, so he's a risk to put in your team. He will get you some points here and there. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has shown that he can be a consistent striker this season, and if he is going to be taking the penalties, well, it's another reason to get him in your side.
Correct. That's right. Yeah, he was captain on my B team.
Well done.
But could you imagine? I mean, I know it's not that type of show, right? But could you imagine the cojones you had to have after being under that, just being under that little scrap there, and then you have to now take this shot. If he missed that penalty, Johnny,
man, the pressure would have been immense trying to, and that's the thing exactly. That should never happen. The penalty taker is going to be under enough pressure. Why are you putting your teammate under more pressure, trying to cause this drama before the kick? Like, it's insane. I'm sure there was words afterwards. I'm sure the manager probably, Rafa Benitez, I know for a fact he would have had some words for sure afterwards. And he's got a big task. He's got a big job ahead of him to manage some of those personalities in that side.
Exactly. Yeah. Just want to highlight. So we had some new points, some new guys bringing points to the board. So you have Allen and Coleman. They have not hit the ground running yet in terms of points, but Coleman is he has been decent last season. He was good. Allen had some injury woes last season. So let's see if he could get amongst the assists and the points a little more often. And we have Pickford and Sanchez again, guys. I'm going to be highlighting. It's very important. Sanchez has been picked by 24.2% of you guys, right? Sanchez, one of those cheap clutch goalkeepers. So you would have gotten a 1 point extra there for those 3 saves, and Pickford would have gotten 1 point and added on to the clean sheet as well. So those are things to look forward to. All right, guys. So next up, Newcastle Southampton. This one was decent. It was a nice watch. And some guys, some usual names finally back on the points. So we have Wilson scoring, St. Maximin scoring, Ward-Prowse with a very late important penalty, and Eleanor C, please forgive me with the pronunciation, opening the account there for Southampton. And we had Fraser among us, the assists, Murphy and Armstrong. Johnny, any guys that jumped out there for you, that anybody you think our FPL manager should be considering?
Look, this was an exciting game. It has to be said. It was one of those great Premier League games. As a neutral fan, you love to watch. And again, one of those games where a lot of FPL managers would have been licking their lips. Like you said, you put it perfectly, Jared. Those familiar names: Callum Wilson, St. Maximin, James Ward-Prowse. These kind of guys are just, you have to have them in your side almost, don't you? You know, they're the guys that are always going to pop up. And any FPL manager who had any of these guys in there, so I've been licking their lips on the weekend watching this game, because it played out pretty much how a lot of people expected, with those big names getting on the score sheet.
Yeah. And the only thing with these guys is consistency. If you get at least 3-4 games, a nice patch, just 4 games, not being greedy, just 4 games with these guys being consistent, man, you'll be in heaven. 0.7. And of course, I want to point out again, so Woodman, I've been talking about Woodman my past few shows. Again, 4 saves, not bad. So that's an extra point there. Not bad at all. So again, look out for these kind of goalkeepers. Don't go for your Edisons and whatnot, right? Try and get the cheap guys, and you'll be rewarded. You'll be rewarded. So next up, Leicester Norwich. Again, Mr. Dependable Vardy. Albrighton was a bit.
He always does it. He always does it, doesn't he, Jamie Vardy?
Sure.
Oh, man, got an assist as well. How good is that? Look, pretty hard to not pick him unless you're trying to save up for something else. The other one I thought is worth pointing out, obviously, Timo Pukki.
Right.
We spoke about him before the season, I believe, Jared.
Yes.
And when he came up that first time with Norwich, he lit the league on fire. And it looks like it was a penalty, to be fair, but, you know, if he's going to start finding form, he's probably not a bad one to pick in your side if you want to save up for some other players.
Especially too, as they're going to play a fellow relegation battle team in game week 4. I think Pookie might be amongst the goals in that game. I won't say who the team is, but yeah. So amongst the assists, we had
I think I know who you're talking about there.
Gosh,
I'm a big Arsenal fan, man. Don't worry.
So Lee Smolo amongst the assists, and Pereira, Mr. Usual. He was Mr. Dependent again last season with the assists. So hopefully he can keep away those injuries. Please, anybody who's praying and has his picture under the incense, please keep that incense and candle burning. Please, right? And of course, as you pointed out, Johnny, Vardy, any striker, once you're a striker, scores and assists for you, great. That's a great day. That's
perfect, isn't it? It's perfect. I like, as you've been pointing out, the goalkeepers for this one. Tim Krul's not a bad get.
Right.
From the Netherlands, he's a reliable man. Look, he's going to be under the pump this season, playing for Norwich, so you know he's going to have to make some saves unless they want to lose every game 10-0. He's going to need to make some saves. So not a bad one to get. Kasper Schmeichel's always reliable, but again, he's on the more expensive side of goalkeepers, isn't he?
Yes. And I'm glad I was going to point it out, because we're trying not to highlight the expensive keepers, but I just want to point out to you guys again, Schmeichel got 3 points, so that's a point extra there. So it's always good to look out for that. And again, as Johnny rightfully said, Krul, great keeper. He didn't have more than 3 saves this game, but he's going to be under the cosh and will be forced to put out some big saves.
Yeah.
Right. So of course, well, I think everybody had this particular striker that I'm going to highlight, or almost everyone. Let's look at this. Let's look at this owner. Wow, 49.1% of us, not you, but us, had him in our side, right? So Antonio again, goal and assist. He has been doing this for the last 3 games. Johnny, take it away.
Yeah, look, oh man. God, I reckon I'll put him in my team this week if I'm not mistaken. But Mikel Antonio, he is just picking up where he left off last season. Unbelievable player. The fact that West Ham have held on to him, I can't believe that no one's sniffing around trying to get him in their side. Fantastic player. I watched this game from start to finish.
Yes.
And again, another really exciting classic Premier League game that it reminds you why you watched it. You know, that's one of those games. I'll tell you one thing though, and I really hope that he's not overlooked, but a player that impressed the absolute hell out of me in this game, Conor Gallagher, young Conor Gallagher. My God, how good does he look? He is, if you don't have him in your side, I'll tell you what, he's going to get bloody expensive by the end of this season. But get him in now while you can. Playing for Crystal Palace, Jared, I was blown away with this guy's performance. As much as Antonio, don't get me wrong, Antonio was fantastic in the game too. West Ham had some fantastic play. Conor Gallagher is one to watch.
Yeah, I'm glad for him because he has been knocking on the door for like past few seasons. Hasn't been hitting the ground running, but even with championship coming up, when he was at West Ham and stuff like that, he's always been a good player, but he needed end product. So I'm hoping that this is the start of more to come. And they recently bought Edward from Celtic, so he might have someone he can link up with. So let's see how that works out. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And, so of course I want to highlight. I didn't do this so far in the show, but just a slight highlight here. So I don't like to pick center backs, right? As you guys know, I like to pick your full backs, because those are the guys that get forward. And a prime example here is Cresswell. Prime example. Cresswell's going to get you assists, going to get the goals. He has been consistent. Mr. Fornals has been very consistent as well this season so far, right? And on the Crystal Palace side, it's great to see Benteke and McCarthy. McCarthy is one of those old horses, you know. He's strong. He's going to be there. He's going to be in and amount the assists, not consistently, but he's going to be one of those names. And it's glad to see Benteke amongst the points, even as an assist. You know, he is the main target man. Well, we don't know. We'll see when Edward comes.
Assist too. It was a really good assist. Took it down with his head, straight to the boot of Gallagher. It was a great assist. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah. Right. And no goalkeepers to highlight here. We're only highlighting 3 points and up, 3 saves and up. So we'll move on to, well, all right, Johnny's game. Johnny, how did you watch this game? Through your hands, you blocked your face on your pillow and just listened to it. Like, how were you during this game, bro?
Oh man, what a roller coaster of emotions this game was. And to be honest, I think most Liverpool fans will agree with me. It was probably 2 points missed for the team in red. Look, Chelsea were fantastic in the first half. I cannot take anything away from it up until that last minute disaster, whatever happened there. We'll discuss that in a second. But in the first half, Chelsea were phenomenal. I thought, coming out at Anfield to take it to Liverpool the way they did was really impressive. It shows that, they've added to their side, which has been great. They've won the Champions League and not just sat on their team. They've added to the team, which has been, it's fantastic. It's great to see that they're willing to put in some extra money to improve their side, even after winning the Champions League. I think they're going to be a real danger this season. I think, look, at the end of it all, when you sum up everything that happened in the game, is 1-1 fair? Probably, yeah. Chelsea fans will argue that the situation at the end of the first half probably didn't go their way. It could have gone either way. I saw it for what it was. And you can look back in the replay, it was a corner situation. The ball's come in, it's rebounded off a couple of people, and unfortunately Reece James is on the line. And trust me, mate, as much as it helped Liverpool, he's in my side, Reece James, in my fantasy Premier League. So I didn't help the Premier League at all. But he, and even before this incident, he was playing phenomenal. He assisted Kai Havertz. He was having a great game. He was causing us all kinds of trouble. But you can see in the moment his hand moves up, gestures towards that ball, and sort of the ball goes in the direction his hand goes. Look, whether it was intentional or not, the action makes it look intentional enough where the referee has to give a penalty. Now, I was shocked when he pulled out the red card. At first, I thought, okay, that's a penalty, so we're going to get a penalty here. But he pulls out the red, and I'm just like, wow, okay. And you can tell everyone, the Chelsea players were shocked. Everyone was shocked. I think even the Liverpool players were a bit like, oh, we kind of got away with that one there. Mo Salah, the Egyptian king, steps up. He's ever reliable from the penalty spot. But then after that, Jared, I was expecting in that second half Liverpool to come out and be like, right, they're down to 10 men. Let's put the hurt on.
Yes.
And you know what? For a lot of the second half, they were going forward, but it was the same old issue that Liverpool have been having the last couple of seasons. As soon as a team puts 10 men or 11 men behind the ball, we can't break them down. That's the issue. Look, in terms of fantasy, Kai Havertz, I identified him before the season as a player to watch because he had a fantastic Champions League camp.
Yes.
Scored that goal in the final. He's a young player. He's exciting. Start to find his rhythm in the Premier League. He's one to get for sure. Reece James is one to get. Unfortunately, don't get him this week because he's out.
Yeah.
but otherwise, Reece James is a fantastic player to get in your fantasy. Much like you were saying with the fullback, Jared, he's going to be a defender that gets you assists and potentially goals, which is just so valuable in fantasy. And Mo Salah, I mean, he said it himself before the season, put me in your fantasy league team, I will get you points. And he delivers on that promise, he always does.
Yeah, for sure. And of course,
so
Mane just getting the assist for drawing the handball.
They're expensive players though, so you've got to pick carefully. You can't have them all, so you've got to pick very carefully. You've got to be creative with your selections. You've got to find some cheap players like we've been speaking about to then facilitate your purchases of the more expensive players, of course.
As we have you, because you're a Liverpool fan, just want to give us my FPL. Some of my viewing managers would have been sad and hurt that Tsimikas didn't start. Were you one of those guys that figured, okay, you know what, he deserved it, or no? This is a big game, and Robertson had to start.
Discussing this last night with one of my fellow Liverpool supporters, and look, I feel for the guy. I think it's hard to make Andy Robertson start on the bench. It's hard to be that player that starts Andy Robertson on the bench. You need to be good enough to make that man sit out a game. It's always going to be hard. He's found a spot here in Liverpool. He's done the hard yards, put in the work, put in fantastic performance after fantastic performance. When you're coming up a team against, we've already identified that Chelsea's going to be up there this year. At the end of the day, you've got to go with experience. Much like I thought Jota missed out. I personally believe Jota should have started that game.
Correct.
He's playing fantastically, but Klopp goes with experience. He always goes with experience. So you put Firmino in, you put Robertson in. Tsimikas was probably the man of the match the week before for Liverpool. So, was he hard done by to miss out? Absolutely. I feel for the guy. But it's a positive sign for Liverpool sports because finally, if we do have an injury, we're bringing in players who are just as good as the guys who are missing out, who are out by injury. So it is a positive sign for Liverpool supporters, absolutely. Was Tsimikas hard done by? Maybe, but Klopp's going to go with experience. Was Jota hard done by? Absolutely. But again, he goes with experience, and that's just that's a manager preference. As far as I'm concerned, I would have probably started Robson. Yes, I know it's harsh. A lot of FPL managers were enjoying the fact that Tsimikas was cheap and getting the points.
Right.
And maybe I would have probably gone with Jota over Firmino, but at the end of the day, Klopp's always going to stick with experience.
Well, all right, guys. So please make note of that. So Klopp is one of those guys. He's not going to rotate plenty, but he's going to go with these kind of games. He's going to go for his sure guys that are going to not disappoint him and put in a gritty performance. All right, cool. That's a good note there. Of course, I just want to highlight the goalkeepers. Now, of course, Mendy's expensive, but again, I just want to show you guys Mendy. Now, if you want to go the expensive route, I think Mendy and Lloris might be the top two guys that I might recommend, because Mendy and Lloris have been putting in that work in terms of the saves, and Mendy would have gotten 2 extra points here because, again, I keep saying 3 saves equals 1 point, so you'd have gotten 2 points here. So that's not bad at all.
I will challenge that slightly, though, Jared.
Talk to me, yeah, challenge me.
Let's say that Alisson is the only goalkeeper to score a winning goal in the Premier League. So we got to note that one. I'm never going to forget that. Also, what I find with Alisson's distribution and Edison's for Man City as well is if they spot Salah or Mane on a run, they'll lock that ball. So you could potentially even get an assist from your keeper. Now, I know guys are expensive, but if you're going to shell out, hey, if your keeper could potentially get an assist, or, I mean, let's be honest, the goal was probably not going to come this year for Alisson again. It'd be crazy if it did. But if you got these guys that are a little bit more inventive with their distribution of the ball, then there's something to look at as well for a goalkeeper, because it's all well and good to make the saves. And absolutely, the more saves they make, the more points you get. But if they're really clever with their distribution, you may get an assist here and there. And that's worth big points for a goalkeeper.
And Alisson, I think, got a couple assists actually on that point last season. Yeah, Alisson got a few assists. Yeah. But funny you say that though. When you got the corner, like in the last few minutes there, bro, I was like looking for Alisson to run up the I was waiting to see Alisson pop up. But I know they wouldn't have done that because Lukaku would have probably poisoned you all with the pace if you got a chance to break away. Yeah.
You can only do it against certain teams, I think.
True. So next up we have Burnley Leeds. Well, I mean, some the guys that we thought would have hit the ground running from game week 1 finally, showing something. So Wood finally getting a goal. Bamford, I think Bamford only got some assists so far. So Bamford getting his goal, registering his goal there. Luton, one of the Sorry, bro, go mate.
I was very happy with this outcome because I have Wood and I have Bamford. So and I thought, oh, this is great. I'm so clever picking Wood and Bamford. I think they're going to do great this season. And then first couple of games, I'm thinking, what am I doing? Well, I obviously know nothing about football. I'm an idiot. And finally, they proved me right. So thank God, because I was looking like a bit of a fool there for a little bit. But yeah, seeing Bamford get on the score sheet, that's going to start being dangerous. He can start to find some form. You know what he was like last year, last season, Jared. You know exactly. How dangerous he can be. And then Chris Wood is another one that you and I identified before the season as, if Burnley are going to score, he's probably going to be on the end of it.
Yep. And again, Burnley are playing a particular team that are in 28th place in game week 5. So, and at home as well. So that's going to be another game that you could look for. You can bring in Wood if you want to get some short points there. Just want to highlight, so Shackleton had an assist there for Leeds and Luton with the assist for Burnley. I did not bring in Bamford as yet. I had Bamford for most of my season last season, but I didn't bring him in as yet. I held on for Tony. And just like Bamford for you, Tony came in clutch for me finally. So let's see, how these guys progress.
I think it'd be interesting to see how Bamford does against Liverpool. They're playing home against Liverpool for the next game. And Bamford loves scoring against the big teams. So keep it in mind, he's not the most expensive striker, so it might be worth getting in your team for that one.
Yeah, but to be fair, your defense is back to full. I don't want to say full fitness. You know better than me, but your defense is back. So I think it mightn't be as easy for Bamford, but we'll see. The way they press and whatnot, they might get cheeky goal here and there, maybe.
Yeah.
So let's go. All right. So last 2 games here. Spurs, Watford. If there's any person right now that can be called Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependent, Sonny himself. And Mr. Bergwijn as well. Bergwijn, second assist for this season. Not too bad. 2 assists in 3 games. Johnny, not much to highlight in this game, but just if you want to maybe get a few Spurs players, Son might be the guy to look for.
Mate, Heung-min Son, my God, he, it's so funny. He kind of, for me, sometimes flies under the radar. I'm not sure if because he's such a humble guy. He just seems so humble and so just always happy and just seems like he'd be a nice guy. I don't know why that is, but I always overlook him, and then he just pops up every week. He's you said it perfectly, Mr. Reliable. Hard not to put in your team. I know he's expensive, but look, if Tottenham again, here's another one. If Tottenham are going to score, there's a good chance he's going to be involved.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And I just want to highlight quickly the goalkeepers. So Bachmann for Watford, 7 saves.
Wow.
7 saves. Right? And they only lost 1-0. 7 saves. That's against Kane and Son. Right? Let that sink in for a little bit. So
That's
again,
crazy.
guys,
Crazy.
this one, let me see who picked. So 2.1% of you picked him and he's priced at 4.5. So not bad. Not bad at all. Right? So it might be a decent guy to look forward to. And he would have gotten some bonus points as well. So last game to look forward to. Boy, this game was a bit disappointing. So we have Man U 1, Wolves 0. Wolves should have won this game, Johnny.
Yeah, a bit of a dud game to me, a bit of a non-event. Look, Man U fans are going to be happy. You've got to win these games. At the end of the day, they're looking
Correct,
for the title. Right? They've brought in the big man. We'll talk about him in a second, but they're looking to win the title this year. They're looking to push on, really make a dent in the Champions League. They're really going to try their best, and you know, Ollie's at the wheel. They always say it. This is his chance this season to really put a stamp on his managerial career and really get the fans on side. They've got to look. It's hard for me to say. They've got a good team, but like you said, this game, Wolves really could have done a bit more. I like a lot of the Wolves players, to be honest. I think they have a really exciting team. I love Raul Jimenez. I love Trincao on loan from Barca. He's a fantastic player. Him and Traore had Man U in all sorts of trouble. They just couldn't find the back of the net. And I've got to be honest with you, mate. If they had put in a goal, if they had put in the first goal, I think Man U would have been in all sorts of trouble. That wasn't the tail of the tape. Man U found a way to win, and that's what good teams do. They find a way to win. Mason Greenwood is a future superstar. And, I am so jealous of them having him in the side because I think he's going to be England's number one. He is a fantastic player. And look, it has to be said, doesn't it? The big man, he's made his way there. He's made his return. And I think I've heard, or I've read anyway, that he'll be playing next week. He'll be starting next week. Whether he's starting or not is I'm not sure. Obviously, that's for the manager to decide. But he will be in the team. He will be in the team sheet, whether that's on the bench or starting. That's getting a lot of people excited, I think.
Yeah, I heard that because I think you missed one of the international games, so you could be back in time to play with the quarantine and whatnot. Yeah. And I want to highlight, so as I keep telling you guys, I don't usually pick center backs, but Varane, I mean, he did this for Real Madrid as well. He is that guy that will slot into the midfield if needed when the guys are pushing forward just to block that space and dink a ball up the road. So mightn't be a bad shout. Let's see how much of you guys picked Varane this weekend. 3.2% of you. Well, all right. Good job, guys. So not too bad. 5.5. Not too expensive for your first coming to the Premier League for the first time. Not too bad a price. And of course, again, I want to highlight the goalkeeper. De Gea made 5 saves. I mean, again, he's not one that I will, rush to buy. But again, these are good things to look forward to when you're looking at the post-match breakdowns, right? So that's what the points look like for this weekend. Well, let me show you guys my team. Let me show you my rank. Let me show you the points I got. So let's scroll up here quickly. So I made 76 points. Not too bad, Johnny. Not too shabby.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that, man. You didn't light the world on fire, but you didn't do that. So that's pretty good.
I mean, I'm trying. My goal this season, Johnny, is at least 85 points a week. I'm trying 85 points.
That's a big goal. But
I know.
It's achievable. It's achievable with the right choices.
Yeah.
But the thing is, man, it can really come down to little things that we're not privy to. Much like we said with Man City, they have 2 starting 11s. You could pick guys that are in form and they just don't start. It's tough. It really is. You've got to be on the ball with this stuff, and we'll try our best to keep you guys up to date. But it is tough, isn't it?
It is. All right, I just want to highlight this here: top 600,000 in the world. Right, that is mad. That is mad. Right, and let me just break down my team really quickly here. So, of course, Raya, right? He was my cheap goalkeeper for this week here. Trentos, Diaz, Duffy didn't perform as great as he did last weekend. Great. As I told you guys, my last minute, 2 hours before the window closed by. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Right?
That's
Salah.
crazy.
Your guy Salah came in clutch for me, so thanks for that, Johnny.
That's good. That's good.
Right. Telemans didn't hit the ground. He's been up and down so far this season. I'm gonna hold on to him. I'll hold on to him. I'll keep the faith. Right. Grealish again, Mr. Consistent, doing well so far. Under the radar, quietly doing his job. Mope, I was shocked that he started. I just gambled and put him on because, as you can see from my bench, I had no one, except maybe Digne. I could have probably put on Digne. But I tried,
Yeah.
I just put on Mope to see, but he has a shoulder injury right now. So I think that probably had an effect on his gameplay. And of course, the two big men in front, we had Vardy and Antonio. Can't complain at all with that. Johnny, what do you think about that team there?
I think your team looks pretty solid, to be honest, mate. Like you said, Mupe, like I think he is definitely one to keep in the side. I think after the international break, he said he had a shoulder injury. I think it should be more or less recovered by then. Look, you've got a good side. It's interesting you go with the three at the back. You know, a lot of people go with that option. It seems to be, you know, all of the points seem to come from the midfield. I think people find that that's the case. Yeah, but it shouldn't be overlooked. Like you said, the fullbacks do, you know, the game's changed so much where fullbacks become so important now. And they do get a lot of assists. And a lot of teams have their fullbacks taking corners as well. And so they're easy assists to rack up. And we know that assists are worth more for defenders. So, you know, if I had to critique a little bit, maybe you look at doing some more, putting a couple more, you know, assisting fullbacks in there. But otherwise, man, who am I to critique your team? I think you're doing better than I am at the moment. So you're doing well, man. I think it's ambitious to ask for 85 points a week, but with a couple of little tweaks, man, you're nearly there.
Yeah, I would say so. A few defensive tweaks and I should be all right. So let's bring up Johnny's team real quickly. I want to also highlight and shout out. We have a new league leader. Right, I'll bring him up really quickly.
We're doing we've got the head-to-head league going, don't we, Jared?
Yes, head-to-head.
We'll have to do a special show when we come up against each other in the head-to-head, mate.
That sounds great. I like that. That sounds really good. We'll look ahead of those pictures for sure, man. I like that. So before I bring up your team, John, I just want to shout out Cordell Mitchell, right? Triniki and VB79. Let's see his team. All right. I actually know Cordell. He's a fellow Guna as well. So let's see what brought him to the top of the table. So he has Martinez. All right. Martinez only brought in 2 points there. He has Trent. James with the red card. Wow. All of these red markers, and he still was able to climb to the top. He had Shaw and Cresswell. So not too bad. Cresswell again went fullback. Shaw, not too bad with the clean sheet. Salah when the Greenwood were his big boys in the midfield there. Jota with only one. And his boys up top were Ings and Antonio. I think, well, of course, if he had Tanganga and Tony on the starting lineup, well, then it would have been a different story. It would have been way ahead. Johnny, what do you think about this team?
Yeah, I think definitely identified some big players. And whether it's out of, you know, a bit of extra research, a bit of luck here and there, you know, we say that we like to think we know all the answers, but it does come down to a bit of luck sometimes. I'm not saying that this is the case here, but I do like the setup. He's going with the 4 defenders, so he's looking at getting those fullbacks across that back line. Like we said, if you can get the right fullbacks in your fantasy side and they all get assists that weekend, well, mate, that's enough to get you almost your 85 right there. You know, as long as your midfielders are doing the job, then yeah, you're pretty comfortable. Yeah, I like the look of his side, man. To me, it's easy to see why he's at the top at the moment. But it'll be interesting now what he does with a few of those. I can see a few players there in red, so there'll need to be a few changes, I think, heading into the next game week there.
Yeah. Well, he has some decent guys. Well, I mean, except for this guy, he has some decent guys on the bench that he could just swap out Reece and hold out for what, you know, for the game week, the ban, depending on what he decides to do. Well, all right, Cordell. Yeah. Well, we don't wish him the best, but you know, we hope he has a good, we hope he has a good season. I mean, and it doesn't last so long on top, Johnny, right? Because I mean, no friends in fantasy, Johnny.
He's keeping a top spot warm for us, Jared.
Right? Yeah. He can do that. He can keep it warm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's look for Mr. Johnny Wilson's team. Right, not too far down the table. Let me not do you that,
Yeah,
Johnny. You're
it's
not
not
so
looking
far
good
down.
at this stage, though.
All right, so run us through, Johnny. I'm not going to commentate. You run us through.
Yeah. Look. My team. I think I messaged you during the week and said I'm almost ready to use my wild card.
Yes.
I get into these moments where I'm thinking, looking ahead at fixtures. I try to pick players based on the upcoming games, so not just the game week that's coming up that weekend, but I like to look ahead to a couple of games. If I can get a player in that I think, yeah, he'll be good for the next 3 games, then I don't have to worry about changing that position for a while. As we know, some players are going to stay throughout, like Salah and, probably Grealish at this stage if he keeps doing his thing. Those players sort of stay consistently in the side. I don't really like to change my defence too much. Obviously, got to get James out the side now. But, I think it's good to have your players that are going to stick around, but then it's good to look at the next 3 or so fixtures. So whilst my weekly score this week probably doesn't look too impressive, I did get the victory. I did get the win in our league, which is good. And that's all that it really is about, isn't it, when you go the head-to-head?
Yes.
But I'll be honest with you. I think if from memory, picking some of the guys in the side here, I should have a couple of favourable weeks coming up in terms of fixtures. Now, as we know, anything can happen in the Premier League.
Correct.
But I've been really impressed with Sarr. I like him. I think he's a great player. I think he's got a lot to offer. Obviously, Salah's he's always going to be a key player for me. And Grealish, like I said, hit the ground running this season is great. Trent Alexander-Arnold takes the free kicks and corners for Liverpool. Always a handy defender to have. I love Reece James. I'm upset that I have to let him go this week, but I'll be bringing him back in the side for sure. And like I said, Chris Wood finally got me some points, which is great. I think I had Bamford on the bench. If you scroll down there, Jared, is Bamford on the bench there? I think he is. Yeah, but I think he came on in the end because one of my players didn't play. I'm not sure. I don't know how that all ended up going down. But yeah, look, it's all going to be geared towards whether or not, and every FPL manager this week is going to have to sit down and make a decision. They're going to have to look themselves in the mirror and say, do I need Cristiano Ronaldo? And if that's the case, if it's a yes, and most likely it will be for a lot of people, if it's a yes, then who is going to miss out? So if I had to get Cristiano Ronaldo into my side right now, we're looking at losing at least two of my more expensive midfielders. I don't know if I can justify it.
You mean Salah and Havertz? Yeah, that's a great decision.
Yeah. No, I think it would be, look, it'd have to be one of the two, wouldn't it? It might have to be Grealish. I'm not sure.
Right.
A lot of FPL managers are going to have to sit down and make this decision this week. I can't tell you which way to go. I'm sorry. All I can say is best of luck, whatever decision you make.
True. I'm going to be real frank with you. I'm not going to chase down Ronaldo right now. I'm not going to chase him. I'm not going to chase Kane. I'm not going to chase Lukaku. Right now, I'm going to stick with the guys that have been consistent. Because remember, we don't know what Lukaku scored once against a relegation team, right? Let's be real. So I'm waiting to see them get a bit of form. Then I'll jump on the train. But for now, I'm going to stick with my mind.
Don't jump on the train too late, though, Jared, because the price is just going to keep going up and up and up and up.
For real. Yeah, the price. That is the problem, Johnny. And that brings me to my next point before I let you go. Are you going to, not just you, but do you advise, now with international break, normally this is the time people like to break out the wild card. Are you going to break out the wild card? And what's your advice on using a wild card during this international break or so early in the season?
I think if you're a wild card, I think people pull the trigger a little late on the first wild card. Remember, you've got your second wild card halfway through the season, so that pops up. Now, don't fall into the trap where you get too late towards the end there in December and you go, I haven't used my wild card. I know people who didn't use their first wild card in the first half of the season, last season, because they forgot.
Yeah.
So always remember that it's there. Always remember that you've got that option. If you're going to use it, like I said, look towards the next 3 or 4 games. Don't look to that game week. because you're just
Right.
putting a band-aid over something then. Look towards some solutions for your team that can carry on the next month or so.
Correct.
Look at international breaks. Look at things like these these breaks are going to, unfortunately, for some of the guys who are in good form, it could break that form a little bit. So look towards some guys that you think maybe have underperformed a little bit. Maybe you can get on the cheap, maybe who have some pretty favourable games coming up, and jump on some of them. But you really need to, the beauty of the wildcard is I think you need to wait at least 5 or 6 games, because then you get an overall picture of how the season's shaping up. Once you have that picture, then it's easier to go, okay, well, I know these guys are in a relegation battle, so they're going to be trying their heart out every week. Maybe I can get a couple of cheapies here that can get me some extra points. Look towards some of the cheaper goalkeepers, like you said, who will be under pressure. Look towards, you might see that Man City have 3 home games in a row coming up. So you go, all right, I'm going to get Jesus in there because they've got some pretty easy games, 3 easy games in a row. Really don't just look for the first week, how your team's going to be affected by that. Look ahead to the future. And always remember, you've got the second wild card coming up in January. So people are so protective of their wild card. They hold on to it. They go, I can't use it yet. It's too early. It's never too early, okay? If you're going to use it, do the research, have a look going forward, and maybe wait a little bit for the season to form itself. Get a better picture of the season as a whole. Look, if you're going to use it this week, wouldn't be the worst time because, hey, a lot of you want to get Ronaldo in. I understand that. And maybe the wild card's the best way to do that. Maybe you can restructure your team to fit him in, and maybe the wild card's what you need to do that. I'd bet, Jared, I'd put a lot of money on the fact that a few people are going to do that this week.
True. I think I think about 24% of people already bought Cristiano Ronaldo already. Because I checked it before I came onto the show. But the only advice I will give on that, some of the big teams have favorable fixtures in October. So that'll be around game week 8 or 10 or so. So for me personally, I'm going to say maybe game week 7 or so. I may try and, punch that button. But as you rightfully said, don't hold on to it. Don't waste it. Use it, guys. Use it. And I can't reiterate any more points you brought. You brought us some really good points there, right? So Johnny, again, thank you so much for coming through, guys. Please check out Fresh 92.7. You can check them out on TuneIn, right? Or if you have Alexa, Google, any of those speakers, right? And they have the Johnny and Devo podcast on anywhere that you get your podcast. Right, Johnny, I want to get you onto more shows, bro. Thanks very much again. I like your insight. I like your breakdown, everything. Thanks a lot, man. And any parting words for anybody you want to gloat about, your 1 points, anything at all?
Well, I mean, look, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on again, Jared. I love coming on, and I'm always happy to come on anytime you need me. Thank you for the little plug there for Fresh. Please, guys, if you're enjoying my episodes with Jared here doing this stuff, get on to fresh927.com.au. There's plenty of info on there for my breakfast show, my morning breakfast show here on the radio. And as Jared said, you can find our podcast on the Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. It's Johnny and Davo, Fresh 92.7 for breakfast. So, check it out. And thanks for having me again. And good luck to everyone for the rest of the fantasy season. I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Of course. All right, guys. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Thanks for the love. And we are almost at 60 subscribers. So thanks for the love. Thanks for pushing the content there, guys. And don't forget, you can slide in my DMs on Instagram. Shoot me an email if you want to be a part of the show. Send me a picture. How much points you got for Game Week 3? Was it a great week or was it abysmal? Let us know. All right, guys. We're out. Take care.